what that takes you home.
This is awesome. I love our midweeks. I love coming together in the middle of the week and being with you guys. It's also great seeing us sitting in our, mixing it up, extended family. This is cool. Really glad we're doing that. Same thing. Guys, every time I come to midweek, I'm exhausted. I was driving here so tired. I got here a little early. Thought about laying down on one of the rows, but right when people start coming in, I'm just so energized. This is just what I need in the middle of my week. So it's good I'm sure you guys can relate. It's good to be together. I think we have a trunk or treat announcement.
Yep, come on.
All right, so I'm going to turn over to Hillary real quick.
So we have a very official sign-up sheet out at that back table back there. I'll have a better one for us soon. I forgot to print one off at work today. But we are needing volunteers to either, you want me to talk into it?
No, I'm just joking.
Okay. I thought it was loud enough.
Yeah, it was last midweek, right?
Yeah, that was last midweek. So we either need you guys to help out by having a trunk and giving out candy for the kids, or we also have stations like painting the pumpkins, face painting, Coca pumpkin, and a couple of other little things like that. Yeah, so never mind. And then if anybody wants to help with either setup or tear down, I know that we've had a couple of people help direct traffic and that kind of thing. The event is October 26th from 1:30 to 3. So if you can help with setup, a little bit early and a little bit late would be good to adjust to that time. But I think it's a Saturday this year. So we are hoping to get a banner to put outside so we can hopefully get more people to participate this year. And I think that's it.
Awesome. All right. So last week we talked a little bit about friendship, if you guys remember, and we looked at a story in Luke chapter 5. Because for our midweeks we're just talking about just different areas in the church that we can maybe tighten up or focus, different things like that. And one of the things that I think as a church we had started to notice is, man, we've got to grow in our friendships. I think a lot of us have had friends move or leave over the last year or two, and we kind of are at this place in a church where everybody loves the church, but man, I'm feeling like I need some friends.
Come on.
And so we talked about, we looked at this story in Luke 5 where this cripple had 4 buddies of his carry him to Jesus. It was crowded, it was packed, so what did they do? They didn't turn it home. They find a way to get him on the roof and dig a hole in somebody else's roof and lower him down to get and so we talked about, man, we've got to have, if we're going to make it, we've got to have those types of friends that are willing to vandalize somebody else's house if it means getting them closer to Jesus, all right? So, but we talked, here's the deal, guys, with friendships. Sometimes it doesn't happen naturally, right? And this is what I think we've all got to realize. Probably a decent portion of the church we're needing friendships. So if everybody is sitting around waiting for someone to reach out to them because they're needing friendships, then we're all going to be sitting here by ourselves, lonely, waiting for someone else to initiate. So I think as a principle, let's take ownership. Man, I need some friends. I got to go, hey, will you be my friend? Right? Like in middle school or something. Hey, can we be friends? We've got to take it upon ourselves and go make it happen. And sometimes friendships just happen. But I think the older you get, the further away from middle school and high school you get, and you're not just in a classroom, you have to kind of work at it. So it's okay if it's not natural right off the bat. You've got to figure out, you know what? I know you're going to help me get closer to Jesus. I need to make a friendship with you, so let's make this thing happen. All right? So that's what we talked about last week. Tonight, what I want to talk a little bit about is kind of our mindset when it comes to how we view the church. And I'll go ahead and turn over to 2 Thessalonians chapter 3.
Come on, Willie.
And still threatens the church today. And there's a lot from the church in Thessalonica that honestly we here in Lawrence I think can learn from and relate to. You know, Thessalonica, it was actually founded by, during Alexander the Great's conquest. But ever since it was founded, it was a pretty important and influential city. I don't know if this, it works, look at that, right there, all right? So, the reason why it was so influential was because of its geography. It was positioned as just this natural port for such an important part of the world at the time. And so actually when Rome took over, they established it as the capital of Macedonia, and it was basically a highway that connected Asia with the rest of the world. Everyone would come in through Thessalonica, and I mean, whether it was for, I'm trying to get over here, there's kind of a land bridge to get over there, whether it was trading different goods. Thessalonica was a huge agricultural society with really rich crop. And so it provided agriculture for, agricultural resources for the whole region. So it was this busy, cosmopolitan highway intersection for the world. Everyone was coming in and out from different places. So you can kind of imagine why Paul wanted to plant a church right there. Because man, if we could get the gospel going in Thessalonica, and all these people are coming and going to different places, this thing's going to spread all over the world. And that was kind of how it was for the gospel and for anything. It was just this revolving door for the rest of the world, constantly busy. Now, it wasn't it was a kind of a pagan society, not a very rich Jewish culture. There was a little Jewish setting in there, but not much. So it was more of a pagan society. So a very how we would, it's in our day, kind of unchurched area. Okay, so I think we can relate to Thessalonica in a lot of ways. One, because it was a small church. Two, it was a young church, and it was in a pretty worldly setting where people were coming in and out constantly. That's kind of like where we're at, right? It's kind of cool in the sense that you can help someone become a Christian, and in a couple years, that person's going to go off, and then that person's going to go. You can influence the whole world from a city like this, kind of this intersecting type city. But because it's a smaller church, because it's a younger church in a pagan society, it was also susceptible to all different types of cultures. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so look at 2 Thessalonians chapter 3. One of the church there faced, when you read those letters, there's really three big issues that Paul addresses. Persecution. The church was persecuted hard and was going through constant struggles that, at least from what we read, didn't really let up. It faced different false teachings, and it also faced this really interesting dynamic within the church that we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, let's start in verse 6. All right, it says, Paul's writing here, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, we command you, brothers and sisters, keep away from every believer who is idle and disruptive and does not live according to the teaching you received from us. You yourselves know how you ought to follow our example. We were not idle when we were with you, nor did we eat anyone's food without paying for it. On the contrary, we worked night and day, laboring and toiling, so that we would not be a burden to any of you. We did this not because we do not have the right to such help, but in order to offer ourselves as a model for you to imitate. For even when we were with you, we gave you this rule: the one who is unwilling to work shall not eat. We hear that some among you are idle and disruptive. They're not busy, they are busybodies. Such people we command and urge in the Lord Jesus Christ to settle down and earn the food they eat. As for you, brothers and sisters, never tire in doing what is good. Really really interesting situation that was going on. Because Thessalonica was this port city, if you lived there, your job was kind of dependent on people coming in needing help, right? A ship comes in, oh, I got some work. Ships leave, got to wait till the next group comes in. And so unemployment was actually a pretty frequent thing. You get a job, you'd be unemployed. You get a job, you'd be and you had to constantly kind of work for this. What ended up happening when the church started there, right? You read in the book of Acts, the church was so generous, right? I mean, they literally had a conviction that we don't want there to be any needy person among us. So we're going to sell land, we'll sell crops, we'll sell whatever, give it to the church so we can take care of each other. So when you had people go through these waves of not having work, what did the church do? Of course. Hey, what do you need? We got you.
Yeah.
Now, what started to happen, though, was, this is pretty nice. Got a free meal. I got a lot of free meals. You know, week goes by, still don't have a job. Man, still getting taken care of. Someone put me up, got a place to stay. Month goes by, and eventually it got to the point where people were just, I don't need to look for a job. Like, this is perfect. There's people in the church that are wealthy, that have plenty, and they're just giving everything they got to the church for me. This is awesome. You know, why would I ever want to go get a job when the church is just so generous and will just take care of me, whatever I need? Right? Because you've been around Christians, and you know how hard it is when someone's in need for you to say no. Right? Because we just feel so sinful and guilty, and we don't know how to handle it. So we're just like, sure, what do you need? Like, and so that can get, unfortunately, taken advantage of. And that's what was happening within the church. And so Paul, they went there, and you know what? He's like, I had the right to ask you guys to take care of me. I was traveling here to help you, to spread the gospel. I could have asked you guys for a place to stay, for a place to eat, but no. We purposely worked our tails off so that we didn't have to be a burden to anybody because we're trying to set an example for you guys. And Paul's really challenging the church here, and he says, hey, they literally put a rule. I cannot imagine having a Devo. Hey guys, we got to talk. Devo. All right, here's a rule. If you don't work, you don't eat. Like, we're not going to, like, that's just a really interesting situation to be in, right? A campus, could you imagine that being Campus Devo this Friday night or something? Just kind of a unique situation, but Paul had to address this thing. He's like, guys, and then what was happening, because they weren't working, what do they do with their time? It kind of alludes that they were just sticking their nose in people, like, they didn't have anything to do, so they were just becoming this kind of an annoying, like, dude, get a job. Like, I'm trying to work here, all right? Go help yourself to whatever you want in the fridge and leave me alone. Like, I'm trying to get some. So it was just becoming this problem. And Paul's like, here's the deal. You don't work, you don't eat. And if someone is going to keep sucking the life out of the church, get them out. It got so bad that he had to address it to that point. And so, guys, we don't necessarily face the same circumstances today. Amen. But the church is just as threatened and endangered by that same mindset today as it was centuries ago. And this is what I think we've got to ask ourselves tonight, guys. Are you giving as much as you're being given to? Are you giving as much as you're being given to? Because if you think about it, guys, we have been given so much. If you were someone that was reached out to, I mean, think about from then to now, how much you've been given to. Someone going out of their way, getting uncomfortable, asking you. You know how uncomfortable it is to share your faith with a stranger, right? Getting to ask you to study the Bible, pulling you into their home, probably having meals, spending hours, following up on the phone. To just, I mean, at the time, you were probably just a stranger, right? You think of all the stupidity that's been in your life that people have helped us work through. I mean, at the drop of a hat, helping out in this way or in that way, helping us with our marriages, helping us in our dating relationships, helping us as we, have kids. I mean, man, I know I can say I've had so many people in my life give so much. I started to write down examples, and I was just like, the amount of people I can think of from my birth to now that have just given so much. The most vivid memory was when I was in campus. I just had to talk to Ken. I just had to. And so, I mean, I called him 3 or 4 times at 2 in the morning till he picked up. And what did he do? He picked up and, hey, oh man, we talked for about 30 minutes and then we set up time to get together tomorrow. And, like, I've been given to so much. I think about some of my football games in high school and families coming out to encourage me. The amount of rides I've been given. I mean, it goes like, and I'm sure we could all go around and just list off so many ways that we've been given to. If you grew up in the church, you're a kingdom kid like me, you have literally been catered to, prayed for. I mean, people will organize entire church events geared toward helping you.
Wow.
Like, literally. And with joy, right? People pray, the amount your parents have prayed for you, the amount of effort. Now having a kid, I get the amount of thought and energy and effort and intention that goes into help. Like, we've been spoon-fed the gospel, and we've been given such an incredible life from birth. We've been given to so much. And so we have to ask ourselves that question. Am I giving as much as I'm being given to? Or do I view the church with the same consumer mindset that surrounds us? Right? When you show up to family group, are you showing up with the intention of contributing? Or what are we going to do tonight? Because I hope it's interesting enough to I'm tired, so it's got to keep me interested. Right? When you show up to Devo, are you showing up to contribute? Man, man, this song is rough. So let me sing louder. Let me sing louder and help it out. Or is it, oh my goodness, like, let's just get this one over with, like, please. Right? Where's your mindset? How can I contribute to this, or what am I going to get out of this? When you come in on Sundays, are you looking to contribute, or are you looking to be spoon-fed, to be entertained? Are you giving as much as you're being given to? Because guys, here's the deal, man, shame on us, right? Shame on me after how much I've been given to over my lifetime. If I'm just sitting there waiting for somebody else to take care of me. Man, shame on me. Right? Shame on us if that's how we treat the church. Now, not saying that that's this church or that's you or but I think that's a question we've all got to ask ourselves, especially because of this, guys. We've had a lot of people in the church that have been in roles that aren't anymore. And so we're at a really unique spot in the church where we need all hands on deck. And some of us, maybe you were kind of the baby Christian that you were kind of there being given to. Now, hey, it's your time. It's now time for you to kind of step up and be giving to somebody else. We can't all sit around and wait for somebody else to take care of it. Yep. We need all hands on deck. Are you giving as much as you're being given to? Look in Philippians 2, 1 through 4. Philippians 2, starting in verse 1. Says, therefore, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from his love, if any common sharing in the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, right? Hey, if you being united in Christ have been encouraged or built up or refreshed or whatever, like if you've experienced anything positive from being a Christian, any of the benefits, verse 2, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and of one mind. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but rather in humility value others above yourself, not looking to your own interests, but each of you looking to the interests of others. I love, like, he's charging the church, hey, if you have been given anything because you're a Christian, you're so fortunate to be a Christian, make my joy, don't look to your own interests. Consider other people more than you consider yourself. Guys, that's the attitude that we all as individuals have to take. Man, I've been so blessed and so given to. How can I now help somebody else? How can I now make this church something that's going to help people the way that it helped me? Are you giving more than you're being given to? So, turn back over to 2 Thessalonians. Because here's the deal. Typically what happens, you have a handful of people busting their booties, pulling most of the weight, and then you've got the, moochers just kind of leeching on, sucking the life out of everything. And then the people that have been giving to so much just get either burnt out or fed up or exhausted or discouraged, and it's just like, peace out, I'm done, right?
Yeah.
And look, Paul addresses them here. Okay, look in 2 Thessalonians. Look at the very end. Look in verse 11. Look at verse 13. Look at verse 13. So he's just ripping into them. If you don't work, you don't eat. Have nothing, blah, blah. And then he says, but as for you, brothers and sisters, never tire in doing what is good. He's addressing the people who have been generous right now. Hey, you guys are, leeches and, whatever. He's just blah, 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 blah. Now, you guys that are being generous, keep being generous. Keep doing what's good. Don't, and when he said that word tire, if you kind of look into the, a little bit more into there, it really means don't be disheartened and lose motivation. Don't pull back. Don't keep giving. Keep doing what's good. I think that's a charge for those that are in the room that have been laying down their life tirelessly and you're exhausted and you're like, I need help. Don't throw in the towel. Don't tire in doing what's good. God sees your effort. He sees your sacrifice. He sees your generosity. It is having an impact. It's changing lives. Don't tire in doing good. Don't lose motivation. Don't lose heart. So guys, the call for us is for all hands on deck. As a church, every individual, none of us can now say, hey, I'm just a baby Christian. I don't know what I'm doing. With where we're at in the church, that's not a valid excuse. It's just not. Like, we need all hands on deck. And so you got to ask yourself the question, man, how can I contribute? How can I help? How can I give? Whatever it is. Literally, whatever, okay? You've got to train your mind that when you show up to Devo, when you show up to family group, when you show up to church on Sunday, when you're in your free time and you have nothing to do, how can I contribute? Well, it seems like everything's taken care of at church. Well, I can sing a little bit louder. Well, I mean, whatever. Like, just training your mind to go from being given to contributing. I can pick up that trash right there, like Charmaine's been asking me for the last couple weeks. The energy's a little bit low. I can do that. I can help straighten up the chairs. I walk in the auditorium and I see Miss Sandra and Annette Augustine and Charmaine cleaning and straightening up the chairs. I could probably help out with that, right? There are countless ways. You could go invite some people out, because what happens is the people that are serving and doing all this, they're also the people trying to study the Bible with people and trying to disciple people. Well, maybe I could learn how to study the Bible. Maybe that's how then I could take whatever. It's just, if you have that heart of how can I give, how can I contribute, you can find a way to help. All right, so this is what I want to do. It's 8:07. I'd like for us to break up in our family groups just for about 10 minutes. If you have no clue what a family group is, just ask the person who invited you and say, hey, can I just join in on your family group? If no one invited you and you just walked in, talk to the person next to you and say, hey, can I join in on your family group? If both of you don't know what a family group is, then just come talk to me after and we'll plug you in somewhere. Break them in your family groups. You can go anywhere. You can come on stage. You can find a cluster of chairs. You can go in the foyer. Maybe don't go downstairs with the kids. You can go outside, whatever. And this is what I want us to discuss. What was there a question? No. Okay. Sorry. Jordan, question? Jordan? No. I'm just kidding. Here's what I want us to discuss. How can you contribute? And maybe your answer is, I could continue to serve in, as a Kids Kingdom coordinator. That is, because if you are already given everything you got, okay, this is not a lesson for you to walk out of here feeling more tired and more guilty and more, okay, keep doing good, okay? So maybe that's your answer and it's valid, all right? But that's the question to discuss. How can I contribute? All right? So we'll just go ahead and break up into our family groups, not our extended family groups, okay? So it's a little smaller. We can have some discussion. And then after, pray, and we'll be done. So let's just say you've got to be done by 8:25. Got to be done by 8:25 so you can go get your kids. Sound good? All right, let me say a prayer, and then we'll get a break, and we'll break up into our family groups. God, thank you. Thank you so much for your church. God, I think about my life. I am so thankful for just the countless families and team workers and church leaders and my parents and friends and, just the list goes on and on and on that have just poured into my life just to help me make it to heaven. God, I'm so grateful for my roommates and the people I was in campus ministry with and a team. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the people here that continue to just sacrifice for me and my family to encourage us to build it. I'm so grateful, God. I've been given to so much, and really we all have. God, I don't know where my life would be. I don't know where my marriage would be without people giving so generously to me in every way. And I think that's a similar story for a lot of us in the room. And so, God, I pray that we would not take advantage of the giving, generous hearts in the church. But God, that we would give back more than we've been given to. God, that we would contribute. God, I pray that as a church, every single member can find a way to contribute. Whether that's showing up early and just talking to someone and encourage them, or picking up a piece of trash, or getting in a Bible study, or giving someone a ride, or singing on, helping lead us in worship, whatever, AV. There are so many ways that we can contribute. I pray that we can train our minds to look for those ways, God. We love you. We're so grateful for your church. It's in your son Jesus' name that I pray. Amen. Break on 3, 1, 2, 3.